Howdy, and welcome to Risky Standard, an actual play podcast featuring a rowdy group of best friends playing tabletop role-playing games. I'm your host and GM, Mitch Broesder. Find me on Twitter at MagnesiumB. You can find the show over on Twitter at Standard Risky. You can also find us over on the show's Discord. There's a link to that in the show notes. With me today, I've got Pete Loftus.
Hey, I'm Pete, and I am real warmed up. I am ready to make decisions.
I got Malcolm Hall here.
Hey, Malcolm Hall here. I just want to first give a shout out to my friend Danny. It's his birthday, and I'm missing his party to be here tonight. He also asked that I, for some fucking reason, to plug his Instagram, which I don't know how to say this. It's part of it is his last name, but it's DJFUCIU. Happy birthday, Danny. You're my most mentally and emotionally unhinged friend. Yeah. Free Palestine.
There you go. And we've got Timothy Mans.
Hey, yeah, cool. I just take this moment to be the first one to say this. I know the other guys are kind of nervous, but after this mission, we are going to be kind of pivoting toward like a true crime kind of thing to really get our numbers up. So stick around. We're going to be getting into some crazy cases. No, kidding. Of course, we're going to be telling these stories for a long time.
We should do like a mech true crime season.
Mech noir.
There's huge footprints all over the crime scene.
I haven't seen a robot like this walking in my office in a long time.
There is a game called Mech Noir.
Okay, table that one. Huh? That sounds cool.
Yeah. But yeah, today we are continuing our game of Beam Saber by Austin Ramsey. You can find Beam Saber over on Austin's itch.io page. Yeah, today we are jumping into the start of our newest mission. And I guess before we jump in, I will give the top level, what this mission is, and then we can kind of set things up and kind of get into the action. Yeah, so today we are heading out of the city of Coronatus to the east to the region known as the Glittering Hills, where we will be infiltrating a off-the-grid facility called Installation Indigo, which is operated by Grenfield Survey and Acquisitions. They have the scientist Harlow Shellspade detained there. Harlow, who you recovered a data cache from in your first mission, whose biometric signature you need to be able to decrypt that data cache. So your mission today is to infiltrate Installation Indigo, to perform a biometric scan on Harlow Shellspade, and your secondary objective, if possible, is to extract Shellspade from Installation Indigo and return him to the low tower. And your sort of third objective / rule of engagement, this has only been conveyed to Carta so far. We can talk about whether or not Carta shares this with anyone else. Is that if you cannot rescue Shellspade, Troubadour has told Carta to execute him after retrieving the biometric scan instead of letting Grenfield continue to have access to him.
Heavy.
Things are getting serious here in Risky Standard. So yeah, you guys did a little bit of legwork last time, kind of looked into more details about the facility, and also the security force that has been hired to guard it, which is the Marked Band, a mercenary company that manned by conscripted prisoners, one of whom is Butte the Brute Halloran, Desmond's former colleague in the gang of thieves known as the Belfry Boys, and one of the folks who betrayed him and set him up to be arrested by the Commonwealth, which put him in prison for a decade. And so, yeah, I think we had looked at our engagement roll when we left off last time, and you guys had chosen a stealth approach, and your detail for this engagement roll. This installation is hidden inside an old, disused orichalcum mine, and your research showed that there was a lesser-used entrance on the south side that, with any luck, is still there, is still open. And that is the route you are attempting to sneak into the installation through. You guys rolled a 4 on your engagement roll last time, so we're going to be starting off tonight in a risky position once we get there, which means things have not spiraled out of control yet. We're not starting off right in the frying pan, but neither is it controlled. You don't have a complete grasp on the situation as things get going. And one thing that we need to do before we kind of get into the rest of this, everyone needs to decide what their pilot loadout is going to be for this mission. Light, medium, or heavy, each of which comes with a different set of fictional advantages or disadvantages.
Heavy for me.
Yeah, I think I'm doing
I
heavy
think
too.
everyone's gonna maybe going in heavy.
Sure. The only thing I will say, heavy gives you the most tools for a loadout, but when it comes also to like thinking about the fictional positioning of things like trying to sneak around or move quietly or unheard, heavy is something that I will take into account in the narrative positioning.
Keep in mind, we also get 2 free tools and gear.
You do, from your squad ability.
I think given that, I'm just going to stick with medium.
All right, I'll go medium too.
Because medium plus 2 tools and gear is actually more than heavy.
But heavy with your recon rigging is
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, I'll do medium. You said stuff about sneaky, and then I got nervous because that's the big stealth part of this, I guess.
So is that medium down the line then?
And we're matching. We're all medium and we're all wearing the same thing.
Great. I can't wait to hear this. So yeah, this mission is not taking place in Coronatus, right? It's taking place in this region that is known alternatively as either the Glittering Hills or the Blasted Hills, depending on which faction you belong to, what you think about it. But the Glittering Hills is kind of it is on the eastern edge of the basin, and it is the primary site for most of the orichalcum mining that happens on Ember. And I think it is, the region that you're traveling to is kind of on the edge of it, closer to Coronatus than not. You're not heading deep into Commonwealth territory. You're kind of I think the target site, Installation Indigo, is probably somewhere in this kind of no man's land that surrounds Coronatus. Technically independent territory, full of ghost towns and settlements that have been destroyed or abandoned during the fighting of the course of this war so far, which is also why I think Grenfield has probably chosen this area to hide this installation, right? There's not a lot of traffic going through there normally. We don't have to zoom in here, right? But I think, we get some images, some moments before we cut to the moment of action. The way that you get out there, right, is I think we see the armors emerging from one of the tunnels leading outside of Coronatus. And I think you would recognize the person who's waiting outside of this tunnel for you, Desmond. It's this woman, Eleanor Fade, this Chiropteran who's a member of the ring squad called the Threaded Needle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Troubadour has reached out to the Threaded Needle to offer support to the Black Star Constellation during this mission. This is part of your kind of increased trust with your faction and your increased tier, right? You're getting more logistical and material support from the ring for performing your operations now. And I think that she has a mech that I'm imagining is kind of like this giant quadrupedal, cargo platform.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not humanoid at all. Like I said, quadrupedal. I think it is kind of like a cargo platform.
It must be huge then.
It's large. I think it would be a heavy mech under our categories. It's not super tall, I think, but it is long. Because the thing that I think that it does, and I think the way that we see you getting into the Glittering Hills, and maybe this is the travel montage, right? This giant mech, I imagine it's this kind of rust red, almost like a miniature, kind of like an an aircraft carrier with legs or something, right? It's kind of not to that same scale, but just
a big flat top.
Yeah, but I think that what this thing does, the here today, gone tomorrow, is the name of this mech. I think that its legs are able to kind of fold down, and it can place itself over the rail lines that run across Ember, and it kind of transforms from a quadrupedal walking machine into something that can ride the railways here, right?
Cool.
Very sick.
And then hop off if it needs to.
Yeah, because I think Ember is cut across with all of these old rail lines that used to be attached to the different orichalcum mines and the prospectors and all these things. A lot of them have been shut down or become disused or have been partially destroyed by the fighting over the last several years. But there's still enough track in these places that I think this mech is like able to carry you and the armors, however many of them you bring. We can kind of like leave that a question mark until we want to answer it. But it's able to serve as your transport into the Glittering Hills. And similarly, the word from like Ring Command, the order that the threaded needle have been given is that they will be bringing you into the Glittering Hills and then waiting by to serve as your extraction if and when you complete your mission successfully.
Is there a brig
on this machine?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. No. For Harlow.
Mm-hmm.
There's crew space certainly. I think something could be. I don't think this mech comes with a brig, but probably right. There's like.
You can handcuff him to a bench or something.
What? Even the Redshift has a little brig. There's a small brig. You guys don't have brigs?
Wait, do you really have a little brig?
No.
Oh.
There's a basket for your keys, but does that count?
I do think one of the vehicle gear options, it's not a brig, but there is one that is, where is it at? I'm looking at it. And there's like definitely one that is like a passenger space, a contained area suitable for a few to travel in comfort or many to travel in cramped conditions. So someone could put a passenger space on their mech if they wanted to have a brig, I guess.
Oh boy, that's
like,
a scary thought. It's like the mech is just, its exterior is all brigs.
That's like something out of The Road.
Yeah, so this is like the thing that's going to get you into the area for the mission.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool machine.
And that's like, how you'll be getting out, assuming you are able to get out. Who knows? Maybe this is the last mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like as we're kind of loading in or whatever this looks like, where we're at this, tunnel exit, and I guess we're transferring over to the here today, gone tomorrow. I'm guessing it's just the three of us, but I think as we're, like strapping in and all equipping our medium loads, I think, at some point be like, all right, Des, these are your guys. I'm going to follow your lead on this one. It's your operation, so you're calling the shots. I'm here to back you up, but I'll follow your lead and let's just get you to where you need to be.
Well, all right. I don't know. I'm not really a leader. I'm not a follower, but I'm also not a leader. I'm kind of a cool lone wolf, kind of a Sigma type of guy. So
the secret third thing.
Not, yeah. This is not my usual, but I'm going to try my best.
Well, you've worked around them. You know their personality. There's got to be some edge that that I don't know.
I know one of them.
Well, you know their type. I'm with Rhodes. If anyone's going to be the one to have it, it's going to be you.
I'm with Rhodes. You're the leader. That's very fun.
It's true.
So I think, I think you just kind of like, pat you on the shoulder, right? Or like put a hand on the shoulder and say, you've got this, right? We'll get there.
All right. First
maybe,
order.
That's
first order. Hey, quiet. All right. First order. Let's load out. Let's do this thing.
And yeah, right. The armors are loaded. The here today, gone tomorrow is on the rails, and it's headed into the Glittering Hills. And like I said, I think it's like maybe like a day or two's journey east to get there. And I think we get the transition from like the hard packed desert around Coronatus, transitioning slowly to like greener and greener territories, right? Probably like more greenery than we have seen on camera, maybe at all yet. Like the only thing comparable maybe is like some of the spots when we were up in the Cosmeo Ridge, right? I kind of imagine the Glittering Hills as like a landscape that's kind of similar to like the mountains of like Appalachia.
Like the flattened coal mining hill kind of.
Yeah. As we move in, we start to see, more green, right? And like the landscape stops being so flat, right? We're starting to move through hills. There's a time or two probably that the here today, gone tomorrow has to like transfer from one rail line to another as we hit like a spot where the rails have been destroyed by the war.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we are passing, I think, like ghost towns and abandoned work sites, right? Rusted digging machines with their arms raised to the sky. I think we're seeing, we're trees, like actual trees, but we're also seeing, I think, like as we move deeper into the Glittering Hills, deeper into the blasted hills, we're seeing mountains with their caps blown off. We are seeing stretches, miles of dead forest, right? Skeletal trees. And I think there's more water here than we've seen in a lot of this game. There are streams, there are even ponds. And for every one of them that is clear, that is brimming with life, right? There are others that are discolored with pollutants, which give off like a chemical stench as we pass them, right? What time of day is this mission starting, right? Is this a night job? I've kind of been thinking about it in that way in my head because it's a stealth mission, but I don't think we ever said.
Yeah, like presumably. I imagine we're on this train like all day, right? Like as, kind of watching this landscape slide by. Yeah, I think like we probably like touch down kind of at least near where we're going to try to enter around like twilight.
And so, yeah, I think as we are like, kind of transitioning, right? Yeah, like it's the squad moving through the hills at night away from the extraction spot where the here today, gone tomorrow will be waiting for you. There's the sound of the cricket coyotes singing in the night distance. And I think we're passing these huge blooms of the dust coral, right? And their own vibrant ecosystems. But as much of it as we pass that is like healthy and vibrant, we're also passing like patches of this coral that are like wilting or rotting, right? It is like a landscape that has been ravaged. I think we continue forth through this this kind of like ravaged landscape, headed northwards. And it's a while before you get that close to it. You're able to spot, right, Brago's Perch, this mountain that you are headed towards, the site of this this former mine that has, I think like a pretty, a like jutting rock shelf on its western side, which gives the mountain its name.
And like the idea is that we're moving through this like area that actually has green plants and water, and like around the mountain is this kind of area that's pretty devastated.
I mean, I think like this is kind of the nature of the hills in general now, right? Is like this used to be the most like vibrant, life-filled place on Ember. It is the place where you can most easily see the kind of ecological devastation that has been wrought by the like extensive orichalcum mining that has been taking place here, right?
Cool.
And is Brago's Perch like substantially larger than like other mines, or like does it stand out as like imposing more than like some of the other ones? Like I just visually, so I can get a sense of what
I was thinking about it. Like Mitch said, it's kind of only a little bit larger than what we'd think of as like a hill. But the thought I had in my mind is we're like moving through this landscape. You can see Brago's Perch because it's like surrounded by all these like leveled flat tops, right? Like all these, so it sticks out like kind of like Mount Fuji, but it's not even that big. It's just that like everything around it's been flattened.
Yeah, I think it's the largest of the mountains in this area, right? You're kind of moving through like rolling hills, and this is like the biggest mountain around, but it is not enormous, right?
Okay.
Comparatively, And so I think, that is like kind of where I want to come in, is that like you have crested this hill, this hill that is like still fairly covered in woods and tree, right? You have like some cover coming in, a lot of it dead, but not all of it. So there's still like branch cover to some extent. And I think as this hill slopes down, that kind of clears away, has been cleared away, right? Has been cut away. And so that on the southern side of the mountain, there is this almost kind of like flat valley separating the hill that you're on from the rise of Brago's Perch. Past that, is the south face of the mountain, and somewhere on that lower edge of that is the spot that your research has told you there should be an entrance into the mine itself. And yeah, this is night. Like I said, I think this is like the start of a new moon cycle. I think all 5 of the moons are dark right now. And so there's like a real shadow cast over the land. There's maybe like a faint luminescence coming from the scattered patches of dust moss that are struggling to grow even here amidst the pollution and devastation. And I think like I said, we're looking down the hill. There is this kind of cleared out little like flat valley. We are on the southern side. I think the southern side, like the part we're approaching, is lower in an elevation than the western face of the mountain, which is where the main road leads into the primary entry shaft, right? So I think from like this angle, we cannot see that entrance at all. We are kind of hidden from that road as well. But I think we can see, as we come up to the edge of the woods here and look down into this like cleared out valley, something that you would only know, you would not have seen at all. You would not have known to look for if you had not already done your research and like looked into how the marked band was preparing and defending this place. Hidden amongst the brush and the rocks and the scree in this kind of like flat valley leading up to Bragos Perch, I think you can see, almost like a rotating so faintly that it almost looks like more like a branch blowing in the wind, right? It is a sensor. And there are these small little, like almost like tripodal little sensors set up amongst the brush here and there, kind of all spread out along this kind of like flat stretch leading up to the mountain. And because you have done your research, because you've been doing this, you know that these are sensors and detectors for the traps that have been laid across this field on the lead-in to Bragos Perch. There's a booby-trapped field ahead of you, using some kind of like I think, advanced mine technology. And so we should talk about, I guess my first question, something we haven't really asked yet or answered, is as you guys are getting here, are you in vehicles or is this something that you're doing on foot?
I had imagined on foot.
I really wanted to bring mine into the mine. I think mine is small enough. If we need to move anything out of the way, I think it'll come in handy. I have a lot of training working in mines with machinery.
Yeah, mine's too big.
Yeah, I mean, I guess similar to the first mission we had, I was thinking maybe like if we could, with Dez's mech being what it is, get in with there and we have one on us, and maybe having the semaphore out in another position to give us covering fire if we need, or something at range. That was just kind of where my mind was for what Carta and the frame might be doing.
I don't think I'm going to bring the redshift. I think like as we are kind of like unpacking here, or you're taking in these sensors, I think Rhodes is facing the opposite direction, like looking back towards where we came from. And I think for a minute there was like a moment of, I don't think Rhodes has been to this part, right? Like most of his time on Ember's been in the dust. So being up in these hills is actually kind of like a different thing. And I think for a moment, I could probably even say, right, like that it's almost like Feldspar. And then maybe we kind of like switch back to it. Yeah, I don't know, Des. What do you think?
Well, I think I'll be going in first with the Mercuria. You can follow behind me.
Can we ride on it?
I mean, I suppose you could.
As I said, the road shift's too big. They'll see it coming.
I mean, before we do anything, let me know if this is too much to put on my little well-programmed hunter drone. Is there a way that like that could be sent out as like some kind of like mine detector, explosives detector? And I think that just because like in a world where this was at one point kind of like a surveying drone, that it might have something like built in where it's like, yeah, we use explosives. We want to make sure a field is clear before we go in to retrieve stuff. Whether like sending out that drone beforehand to kind of give a cursory glance of what might be there so we know what to avoid.
Yeah, I think that is like one way to try and deal with the challenge of getting through this minefield. Yeah.
Whether that's right now or in a second, but that was something I thought might be nice so that if we do have the Mercuria going through, that like we can at least kind of be like 10 steps that way, you're clear for...
Or like a detection thing, right? Like it's like leading.
Right.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So is this could be like a setup action? It's finding the safe passage through, right?
Yeah, I guess it was finding the safe passage through, and I imagine, on whatever our wrist monitors or the information tablets we carry around communicate through would be able to transmit that back and be like, this is where you want to go.
Yeah. I think that's like a good way to try and tackle this first obstacle.
Yeah, I was also curious if we can tell like what kind of mines they are.
Yeah, you could probably... I think that could be like gather information. Like if you wanted to gather info about them before we roll to like find our way through the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was that or I was just going to shoot one of the sensors.
But, the road solution.
Set one off, see what we're dealing with.
Everyone keeps saying sensors, and I don't, for some reason, I know we're talking about something that senses something, but I keep imagining like a Catholic incense.
Oh,
that's the Concordat you're thinking
that's a
of.
different faction. I mean, do you want to gather info by like studying it or something before you make this roll to send the hunter drone?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna just do that quickly, and maybe we can incorporate this or something. But I think Rhodes is like whip out binoculars and is just like kind of scanning the distance between us and that mountain, and maybe depending on how this roll goes, I guess if there's like one of the, like a cricket coyote or something, like wanders into the field.
I think this is just a gather information, so it'll be a fortune roll. This will not be like a succeed or fail. It'll just be how much information you gather.
So that's 1d6. That's a 2.
That is a 2. That is limited information. I like that image, right, of a cricket coyote edging out. And so I think you do see that. I think like, you're scanning this kind of like open field that's been created like around the edges of the mountain. And you watch this cricket coyote, this kind of strange, like a sort of like crustacean dog creature, edging its way out and moving like, I think, right alongside. Like you see it walk right in front of one of these sensors. And I suspect that maybe there's like a moment where Rhodes tenses, right? Even like watching this from the distance, like waiting for the thing to go off, and it doesn't. The cricket coyote ambles harmlessly through the field, and then like kind of yelps and chases off into the night. So I think like limited information. You don't know exactly what kind of like mines have been laid here. Whether they're like anti-vehicle or anti-infantry. But I think you are able to tell that they have a more complicated like sensor apparatus than just like did something step on me, right? It is able to scan. It's that's why it's sensors that are sticking out instead of just hidden mines, because they are scanning and like only activating appropriately for threats. The cricket coyote did not set it off. It has been programmed to disregard, animal activity. Because if you're a secret installation, maybe it makes sense. You wouldn't want to have mines going off because
yeah.
Random explosions probably bring more attention than you want. So I think that's what you're able, just like giving it a scan quickly. I think that's what you're able to gather. They are more complicated, more delicate, more sophisticated than just a traditional minefield.
Right, and then I think he, lowered the binoculars and was like, "All right, Carta, your turn."
All right. Sends the drone out, and knowing, I mean, I imagine that Rhodes kind of told us what he saw.
What does this drone look like again?
I believe, and listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I said it's kind of like a paper plane looking kind of thing.
Yeah, you did say that.
That it's like a kind of a white triangle with like, I imagine like one of those like dome security kind of camera things on the bottom. I mean, I guess if it's not just looking at like as much as I can get from it, but like, it does try to see the things that are more classic, pressure mines. And it also tries to any other type of, whether it be like a heat signature or, kind of the infrared imaging of what we have going on out there, just so that we get a bigger idea of what's out there in the dark. And if possible, paths to be out of the way of where these sensors are as much as we can be, not stepping on things that look suspiciously like it's like a pressure mine.
Yeah. So you're a well-programmed hunter robot, a robot that obeys your commands and anticipates your actions. It counts as an expert cohort, which is a hunter, and it can carry up to 2 load of general pilot gear or scout pilot gear. I think we used this before, but I think it maybe makes sense if it has you have like a rangefinder / laser painter binoculars.
Yeah.
They can perfectly judge the distance to a target and also transmit the target's precise location.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe might make sense as like a piece of equipment that it has on it, like marking the things that it's finding and being able to like scan and find detail.
Yeah, is that another thing I would have to mark on my?
No, so the robot itself has
already has 2 on it, right?
Yeah, if you like look at its shout out to the person whose name I'm trying to find who made these custom Google Sheets that they use. They are super useful, and when you click that you are using your Find Hunter robot on your character sheet, it actually opens up a new section on the spreadsheet where you can fill in like its gear and particular abilities. So I think it maybe makes sense to mark for it like laser painter binoculars. But yeah, this sounds to me, you could either let the drone roll its own dice, kind of like we give it a fortune roll basically, or we could use it to like kind of augment the position or effect of your own roll.
So if I was to do it as like a survey action or something like that, okay.
A survey, yeah, that would make sense to me. And then I think, if you're like, say, survey with this, I feel like, we're in a risky position. We stated that before. That's where the mission is starting. You don't quite know what you're facing, potential consequences from action could be. And I think with using this to assist you in surveying this minefield, I would say like risky, great effect, probably.
Yeah, I guess, is it better odds if it's a survey action with the benefit of...
So it's an expert hunter cohort. So it would be rolling its your squad's tier plus 1 dice, which would be 2.
Okay.
Your survey is also 2.
2. Okay.
But you have the ability to like push yourself
If I need it.
if you want. So I think
yeah, let's call it a survey. It's like it's an because I have to process the data that it sends me and kind of interpret maybe a little bit more. That's the survey element to it. So I guess we're gonna roll 2d6 and see how that goes.
say this is risky, great effect to start. You could push yourself. I could offer you a devil's bargain, all the usual.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone wants to assist or how they would, but I'm open to that also if anyone wants to before we roll the dice on this.
I don't know. I don't have a good idea to assist here. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll roll that and see how it goes from there. All right. Ooh, 6.
Oh.
Hell yeah, baby. Hold on. Let me take that again. Hell yeah, baby.
Get a clear cut on hell yeah, baby.
So on a 6, I think this is like the group kind of waiting in quiet anticipation as Carta is there with like the control unit, right, navigating this drone, doing passes over the field of mines. And like you said, it's a survey drone, right, or at least like a lot of Carta's tech kind of comes originally from like a survey machine and like survey units. And so maybe that's a full success here. Maybe what we are seeing is right, it's detecting like disturbances in the soil, right? Like indications of where mines have been buried.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's like picking up like the latent like electrical activity of the active sensors. And so I think, on that 6, what is revealed to you here is that there is a combination, I think, of mines here. Probably there are, I think, like things that are buried closer to the surface that are attached to these sensor units. That are kind of like larger kind of constructions. And I think there are also like smaller, there are more traditional mines scattered and buried too amongst some of this. Perhaps like still linked to these sensor triggers, but there's, kind of like a few different devices basically buried in amongst the ground connected to the sensor network. But on a 6 here, I think the drone is able to kind of spot where these things are buried and kind of estimate like the angle of the sensor devices that have been laid out on the field. And the marked band is not like a bunch of rookies, right? This is like a fairly like well-trained squad of mercenaries, right, with access to good equipment and training. And so I don't think that there is like necessarily like there's not like here's the perfect zigzag through where you will like not be in any danger whatsoever.
Sure.
But I think you're able to chart out the route through the minefield that has the absolute like fewest like encounters with these buried things, that runs you kind of like on the edge of each of the sensor units. And so you have a kind of a pathway through. I do think that there is still like probably some risk in traveling through.
Yeah.
Like I think there still might be another roll here to get through, but I think it will be with an improved position, whatever the next roll is.
Yeah.
Could I upload that to like a sort of AR program on the Mercuria?
Yeah. I assume Carta like shares this like kind of like the data collected by this thing with the rest of you.
He does not keep it to himself.
This is for me. You guys are on your own.
Yeah. We're not going to be able to avoid it entirely, but I think this is going to give us a better idea of our path in. Des, I don't know if the cloaking is going to help, but...
No, the cloaking doesn't... The cloaking, unfortunately, doesn't make me any lighter. I'm still the same weight, but I won't be able to be seen.
Yeah, who knows how these sensors work in full, so...
Yeah.
Anything we can do, but...
No, I mean, well, the sensors will probably be able to pick me up, right? Even if I'm fully cloaked. Like, what did the sensors pick up? Did they pick up heat or...
I think it's unclear, but I think you saw that like they detected the crooked coyote and did not explode, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably like at least some like visual analysis here. It can differentiate that from like presumably a human shape. So I think it's a combination, right, of like probably electrical signal, heat, and like also like physical shape and pressure. They are smart minds. So yeah, how does the crew want to cross this field?
I guess also I didn't know if we heard. Is Rhodes bringing his frame with him?
You both are bringing yours.
I said I don't think Carta's doing his. He's going to leave it out on the perimeter with like we did in the first mission, where if it needs to, it can fire
a shell or something. Yeah.
Right,
a shell from outside of.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving it like here at our extraction point, and I think it's fun to have to like accompany like one mech through this if we're just like supporting the Mercuria. So I'm going to leave mine at this point.
Cool. So I guess whether we can get inside the Mercuria or if we're like kind of clinging to an outside like a tank or something, like
yeah, you're riding the backs of my legs like you're two little kids.
Yeah, the Mercuria,
holding on.
I believe I'd have to look at the sheet exactly, but it does not currently have passenger space as one of its vehicle gears. And so the game tells us a vehicle without passenger space can uncomfortably fit 2 people, including the pilot, in the cockpit or equivalent. But otherwise, yeah, I think if you guys are riding on the outside, that's fun. But I think without a passenger space, there's no way you're all getting squeezed inside the Mercuria, which is already a light mech. It's a smaller mech. Right?
Yeah.
I think there's like some like handholds or something, like we can like kind of cling to like garbage.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Like I like riding the top or something. I guess we're going to start there.
Let's make our way through.
Yeah, let's do it.
You've got this map information from Carta. You've got like kind of like a pathway that'll take you through with the least risk. How is Des taking everyone through this?
I think that they're like everybody. Okay, they're holding on, right?
Yeah.
I've got a sort of AR map, an overlay over the sort of windshield or whatever of the cockpit. And I'm moving through, and I'm trying to navigate this minefield. I imagine right now is time for a roll of some sort.
Yeah, this is a vehicle action. You're in the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's probably a maneuver to me, but I'd be open to hear something else.
No, I think it's maneuver.
Is the optical camo on right now?
Yeah, of course.
So we just look like we're floating in space.
Maneuver is like you might creep across an unsteady bridge. I think that this is
It's about like picking your footing and like each step matters, right? So you guys are on the exterior, so you'll be fine if a mine goes off, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is rolling off the success of Carta's roll, like probably controlled instead of a risky situation because you have like a route to pass through, and I'd say standard effect.
Yeah.
So you'd say
a controlled standard.
Yeah.
We don't have a sound effect for that. Add that to the soundboard.
All right, so I'm rolling 2.
Yeah, and you are rolling 2. You can always spend a quirk here. You could.
If this is a vehicle action, can we still assist as pilots? Or no?
You can still assist as pilots. Worth noting, Carta. Oh, we should mark this. You have 3 beliefs with Desmond now, which means that every time you assist Desmond, it will cost 3 stress.
That's a lot of. Doesn't make you want to help a man.
Maybe you're plugging in, like you're syncing the devices or something. You've like interfaced the drone.
I'm sure that there's ways it could help. It's whether I want to take the possibility of take 3 stress out the gate before we get into facility.
And I don't want to spend a quirk just yet.
Play that character like a stolen car, baby.
It's a controlled roll. So, if when things go bad, it's not necessarily going to be like the end of the world, but it will be, something will happen for sure.
Yeah. If you feel good about it, go with those. Take the 2 for right now.
Yeah. All right. Everybody ready? Last chance. Okay, here we go.
Do it. We got it. 2's pretty decent. That's a 2 and a 3.
It's a 2 and a 3.
That's a failure.
That is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a controlled failure. On a 1 to 3 on a controlled, the pilot falters. They can press on by seizing a risky opportunity or withdraw and try a different approach. And so maybe this is like, as you're moving through the field, this is like one of those things where like we don't know exactly what these controls look like, but I imagine that Desmond is like hyper tuned to the feeling of each one of the legs of the Mercuria coming down on the ground as you're moving, right? Like tactile feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think maybe it's like as you're stepping onto this like piece of earth ahead of you, moving through what should be like a clear part of the minefield, you can feel that the soil doesn't feel right? There's like a looseness to it, right? There's a little slide on the leg of the mech as it steps down. And I think it's a moment of Des realizing that like there are things that Carta's scan didn't pick up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like it's not. There's a risk here in moving forward, in that you're gonna have to go some of this by feel, because there are parts that are maybe we're missing from that initial scan. So if you wanted to, you can press on into a risky situation and try this again, or you could withdraw and try a different way to get past the field, keeping your control position.
We all go find cricket coyotes, use their skin, and walk like coyotes across the field.
I have an idea.
Let's hear it.
What if we like hack something here? Like I'm looking through my tools. Like, could I like maybe use an engineer role and see if there's like something I could do with this Palm computer to, like using some of the data from Carta's drone, like build like a null field or something?
That sounds to me probably more like interface.
Oh, more than
when you interface, you work closely with electronic equipment, making it an extension of your body. You might hack into a technologically advanced vehicle or understand how it works.
Or you might tinker or build an object. You might develop a non-contagious strain of the flu or fix a broken door. You could make an inventory program, but interface might be better. I don't have anything in interface. Program an electronic device to fulfill your desires. But engineer might be better.
I think that we should
Or you just want to try a different route?
No, I think we should push on. But I think that one of you needs to help me out.
Okay, then I'll help here. I'll help here. I think like maybe sort of like facilitating the connection right between like Carta's drone and the Mercuria to boost your stat. That gives me 2 stress. I don't know if like we need more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna push on to continue like maneuvering through the minefield, and you're like linking the machines more directly or something, like acting as kind of like an in between signal.
Yeah, actually, and I think this is even maybe I'll just go like a little further. There's like some exterior port or something on the Mercuria, and I think Rhodes actually like physically detaches some sort of cable from his body to like plug into the Mercuria and like plug into the drone.
Oh, that's cool. Like you're acting as like a physical external sensor.
Yeah, like an actual interlocutor. And I think like as he's like doing that, I think even like see, right? Like or like see these like sonar things. It is like maybe kind of like eyes roll back or something, but is
I mean, that's nice too,
kind of telegraphing,
especially if like with the drone already it kind of anticipates what I'm looking for. That is just another bolster to the way that it is sensing things, what it's looking for.
Yeah, that is I think like a cool image. I like that.
So he can give me another dice and keep our controlled position.
Yes, yeah, you can get 2 benefits because he's spending 2 stress. Yeah. So he can give you +1 dice and either improved effect or improved position. Improved position maybe makes sense here. Keep it at controlled standard if you want to have like less risk moving through the minefield. Which with 2 people on the outside of the mech maybe seems like a safer bet.
Yeah.
All right, if you're taking that stress, that'll be 3d6 controlled standard.
All right, ready?
Oh my
God.
God. We want to read those numbers out?
Go on, say it, Malcolm.
It's a 1 and 2 twos. I don't want to play this game anymore.
I'm packing up my mech and I'm going home.
All right, so we blow up, and this is the last mission.
All of us have soot-covered faces as if a shotgun has exploded.
So it was still you made it controlled. This is not you're not dead. This is not like the mine doesn't go off right away and blow you up. Instead, I think what happens is this is like just slow, moment after moment, creeping forward. And I'm going to give you a controlled consequence here. I'm not going to give you the like press on or withdraw. I think that you get to the edge of the minefield.
It's controlled. Are we like blowing a few as we're walking through or something?
No, there's no explosions.
It's concerning.
But I think that as you are kind of like near the very end of the minefield, you hear an audible like a click and a whir as one of these sensor heads, like hidden, like amidst like kind of like a little brush pile, whirs and then swerves, and its head like turns and sweeps back and forth over and over where the Mercuria is at. And there's even like a beep, right? Like each sensor pass that it goes over the Mercuria, there's like a beep beep,
Right. Like they're all
but it's thrown off by the cloaking device, right? It's having trouble detecting something, but it's detecting that something is wrong. And so I'm going to create a clock here. It's a 6-segment clock, and it is the Installation Indigo alarm clock. So I'm going to create that clock, and I'm going to tick 1 segment on it. This has happened as a result of you getting scanned by this minefield. And the other thing that happens here, I think, this sensor, all right, it scans you, but it doesn't quite pick you up. But it picks up something is wrong, and then it retracts back. And I think, as it does, you're able in this moment to step forward, and you're past the minefield. You were kind of near the base of the mountain. And maybe it's fortunate that tonight is a no moon night, because I think that under the light of the moon, this thing is normally indistinguishable. But because the moons are gone, like any light is kind of like showing up right now. You were looking at the cliff face of the southern edge of Bragos Perch. And there is kind of like the remnants of like a wooden framed archway on this face that kind of describes what would have been an entrance shaft into the mine many years ago, had there not been a cave-in and a collapse covering that entranceway. But I think because it's so dark out, you can see, like looking at this kind of like caved-in entrance, there's like almost like a faint luminescence to all of the stone that make up this kind of like cave-in entrance. And I think this is like you're able to like piece this together. You guys have been in the field for a long time. There is like
Is this it?
This is it. There is like a holographic projection of a cave-in over the kind of like archway entrance into the mine from this southern area. Right? They are hiding the entrance behind this like holographic projection. And so you can kind of see where you're supposed to go next. And I think as your eyes alight on this, as you get past the minefield and kind of realize like, oh, that's where we go next, you hear a sound on the wind. It is very faint, and it is coming from high above you, but getting a little bit louder moment by moment. It is like the whir of rotor blades. And against like the starlight, this dark shape moving above, I think you can see there is something coming from the top of the mountain, heading down this way to investigate the scene. Some kind of like flying vehicle. I think like at this time of night, this distance, it's hard to really make out exactly what the shape is or how large it is exactly. Not huge. It's not making a ton of noise. It's like, because it's such a quiet night, I think you're able to catch the sound of it. And so I think, that's a representation of that first tick on the alarm clock. Some kind of flying vehicle or drone or something has been sent from the top of the mountain and is coming down in your way to check out what's happening.
Now would be a good time to get under cover.
Can we move right now, or are we gonna get found out?
You can move. You're like I think like I said, that sensor on the mine has gone down. And I think you're able to take the Mercuria forward, and you're past the minefield at that point. You're not setting anything else off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of blacked out for a minute after that last roll.
So just to restate it, you have just gotten past the minefield. You are kind of like standing now, like 20 or 30 feet away from the kind of like rising cliff face of the southern edge of Bragos Perch. There is the collapsed entrance to a mine shaft right in front of you. But you can see, because of the light coming from it, that this collapsed entrance is actually a holographic projection covering whatever's actually behind it. And as you are like realizing that, at that same moment, you start to hear the whir of rotor blades as a dark shape kind of comes out from the top of the mountain, like high above you. And I think you can just like almost make out its silhouette a little bit. I think it's kind of like vaguely triangular. But it is, yeah, like I said, the sound of whirring like rotor blades you can hear, right? It's like a vehicle moving from the top of the mountain.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go into the cave.
Well, hold on.
Through the hologram.
Well, that's the thing. Because it's a hologram, does that indicate the fact that they know
It's not as caved in as we thought, that's for sure.
trying to make it look like it's not in use, and in doing so actually have more eyes on it than we previously thought?
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Well, we don't have a lot of options.
True.
So you want to move forward into the hologram? Is that what you were saying, Desmond?
Yeah. Where else are we going to go? You know? Back into the minefield with a Black Hawk helicopter coming after us, or into the unknown?
I think the shape of the, it's a distance away. I think the shape of the shadow above you, and the sound is tinnier than that. It's smaller than that. I don't think you're expecting like an attack helicopter. It's probably something a little smaller than that moving.
It's a flying little propeller hat.
Yeah. Somewhere in between those two things is the object headed your direction. But yeah, I think you push forward the Mercuria into this holographic field, and it is just like a veneer, right? It is just like a thin, like holographic projection over the exterior of the entrance of this tunnel. It does not extend deeper. It's not like solid in that way. And so I think as the Mercuria's like kind of like head pushes forward, and as you pass under this like holographic projection, you are kind of standing in an archway. The entranceway is big enough for like a light mech to fit into. I think probably the redshift or the semaphore could not get in this entrance, right? But it is like, say, like an 18, almost 20 foot high kind of archway, a tunnel extending back. But I think it only extends back a few feet behind this holographic projection before it is interrupted by the sight of large steel, like blast doors or hangar doors, right? New. And Desmond, we're in Desmond's like territory, right? This is like the shit Desmond used to do for a living. Des, I think you can clock them immediately as like kind of like standard construction, like Lectorian military or like military surplus, like hangar doors. They have like a secure locking mechanism, and I think they're the kinds of doors that like within one of them is a smaller door for like a human-sized individual, right? So that people can pass through in and out of this like location without having to constantly fully open the full set of hangar doors.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the thing stopping you from moving forward here. And so I think the Mercuria is like half in, half out of this holographic like projection, right? I don't think it goes deep enough to fully conceal the Mercuria within it. 'Cause it's only a few feet behind it.
Really?
Fuck. Yeah, there's a time pressure here, right? Something is headed your way, which is why this situation has probably moved back into risky at this point. But there is a door in front of you that is kind of blocking your way further into the mine. But also, you can, like I said, you can tell this door is new construction. This was not in the mine, decades ago. This is a Commonwealth installation. And like, Des is like a master thief. He's done this stuff before. This door is new. Within the last few years, this thing was put in here, right? It's got like a little bit of weathering on it. It's not like yesterday new. But this is not a door that's been here for decades. Someone has installed this recently alongside the holographic projectors that you can see are mounted along the edges of this archway, projecting the field behind you.
All right, so I'm going to jump out immediately. We're getting on a time crunch, so I'm going to jump out and I'm going to try and open those doors.
Yeah, you're opening like the hangar doors, or just like
I'm gonna, because I want to bring the whole thing in, because otherwise we're gonna get found out. So I'm gonna try and crack that lock.
Try it.
I think there is like on the side right of it, right there is like some kind of like security pad, like an entrance mechanism. I think it's like a combination of like a card scanner and some kind of like key code entry. This is not like biometric locks or anything that advanced. What do you have gear for this, right?
Find security cracker.
Yes, what is this? A well-made toolkit used for disabling mechanical and electronic locks. So yeah, I think trying to break this thing down or trying to like open it up, normally this would be risky and I would say limited effect, because Renfield is a tier 2 squad. You are a tier 1 squad. But Desmond, you have the ability Ghost. You are not negatively affected by quality or tier when you attempt to bypass security measures.
That's right.
And so I would say that not only is this not limited because of that, but between that and your fine security cracker, I think that puts you at risky great effect. There is still risk here, right? There is a some kind of like flying vehicle coming to investigate the kind of like confused alarm ping given off by that mine that you activated. But you're really fucking good at what you do, and so you're going to have great effect if you can succeed on a roll against this door. And what does this look like? What is Desmond's, what's like the picture that we see, or like the kind of like heisty montage of like Des cracking into this thing?
Well, it's not much of a montage. It's he's like he's freaking out already. I think he's almost He's really stressed out.
Is Des freaking out right now?
Almost he's keeping it calm. Of course, in the inside, he's freaking out. He's like almost going to black out. He's freaking out like I did earlier, I think. And then he, is like, fuck, whatever. The hatch opens up. He jumps down, runs over to. So you said there's a smaller door and a bigger door. Do they have separate locks?
I think same entry mechanism, right?
Same entry mechanism? Okay. A keypad or something?
Yeah. It's like a keypad with like a card swipe attachment, or something like that.
So I think he's running over and he's taking his security cracker, which does not have a set description. So I'm coming over and it's like maybe it's there is a sort of like keypad or like some sort of like electronic interface with a fake key attached to it with like a ribbon cord. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he like sticks it in, and then he can like work the keypad from there.
Cool. I like that. What are you using here? Sorry, what ability?
Oh, what ability? Okay, I was looking
what
like,
action? Yeah.
Dude, the fine security cracker. I just told you. I guess finesse.
Yeah. That's probably finesse. I think.
Handle an object with agility.
You could hotwire a vehicle, yeah. I think finesse. This is risky, great to start. You have 2 dice. You can always push yourself here. All the usual options in terms of increasing your effect.
What does pushing myself look like again?
That is, you take 2 stress, and you get an extra dice.
What do you guys think? Should I do it? I might just push myself for this.
I can't give you any. Yeah, just push if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do 3d6.
All right, so you take 2 stress, and that'll put you at 3d6, which is pretty good.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A 4.
4.
A 3, 4, 4. Still pretty not good. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's good. But
so I think maybe one of the other two is like on the kind of part of the Mercuria that's like half in and out, like keeping a watch outside to see. And so I think we get the shots of like Des has got this like this false key attached and is like like it's running possible combinations through on the screen as we hear the whir of these rotors get closer, and it's hard to see the shape because it's so dark out and it's against the night sky, but maybe it kind of moves for a moment against like silhouetted against like a patch of this like a faintly luminescent dust moss on the hill behind it. We can see now this black shape approaching is like a I think it's like a 3-rotored like kind of drone. Honestly, it bears some resemblance to Carta's survey drone, and it also has, I think, like kind of a panoply of different like survey and like optical mechanisms on its underside. Right, this thing is like a scanning. It is like a security drone that is like a scanner. This is not like a weapons drone. And so you're able to see its shape as it's coming to get closer, and we're cutting between like it moving closer and Desmond's security cracker working. Then there is the green light, like the beep, and there's like suddenly like a hiss and a release, and the blast doors start to retract, slide inwards as you are granted entrance to what lays beyond them. And I think you have time to book it, to move in past the full protection of the holographic emission without being spotted by this drone, right? As it kind of like lands or not lands, but like comes down near the area where you were spotted at the back of the minefield. You are moving in. You've gotten past, right? There's like a moment of relief.
But that relief is
I was going to say a moment.
Only a moment, because, I say to the guys, hey, listen, Clearly this entrance is not abandoned.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. I don't think that we're going to get the jump on them as much as we thought we would.
I think Rose is like racking a rifle.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think so either. Let's go.
Carta wishes he was a little more heavily armed.
And as a consequence here, I am going to tick the alarm segment forward once more, and you'll see why in a moment. But I want to kind of give you your reward. I'm going to show you what you get as you kind of move in first. But we are going to put the alarm clock at 2 out of 6 segments, so it's not on yet. So yeah, you are in a tunnel that I think slopes gently upwards and has clearly been maintained and I think built upon in the time since this was just like a mine. I think that there are, light strips kind of like running along the bottoms, like corner sides of the tunnel, right? Like illumination that are kind of powered down. They're in an incredibly dim mode, right? Because this is not currently in use. So there is some light as you move forward with the Mercuria. I guess the squad's still kind of... Are you guys still like hanging out on the sides as you guys move in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're like flanking.
This tunnel is big enough for the Mercuria, right? Like you can move through it and you're not like scraping the walls or like hitting the ceiling. But it's not so big that you have like a ton of maneuverability. And so I think you go in and upwards for a while, kind of deeper into the mountain. Maybe for like a minute or so, right? Like it's like you're going a pretty good distance. And at a certain point, the quality of the light changes as you can see that you are coming up on the end of this tunnel and the entranceway to like another portion of the mine. There's kind of a darkness ahead of you that shows you like it's about to open up. And as you come to the end of this tunnel, you kind of come into a larger chamber that I would describe as kind of like a hangar, right? I think there are vehicles in here, right? As you kind of come to the edge, you can see, I think on one side of the room, right, there are, I think like a truck or two, like trucks with like covered beds, and then 3 or 4, they're not dust cutters, but they're similar to that. These like kind of like hover vehicles. They're like a little like a squatter, a little bigger, closer to like whatever like the dust cutter equivalent of like an ATV or a 4-wheeler is,
Mm-hmm.
right? They probably have like some like kind of like cargo portions on their back. They can carry a little bit more weight. There are lights in here also, but they are dimmed. And I think there's been construction here. This is not a mining facility anymore. I think there is also like off on the other side of this area, there is like some storage here. There are crates stacked up. I think there is like a almost you know what it is? It's kind of like a smaller version of like a Val unit down here. The kind of like like a ambulatory like medical machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like a smaller Val pod down here against one wall. And I think there's also like a near the back of the room, opposite of where you've come in from, there is like a rack mounted on a wall with like assault rifles. There are guns stored down here. And at the very back of the room, kind of one of the central features of this room, I think that there is a place where a like large elevator, like kind of like a freight elevator, could come up and down, but it is not currently in position here. And then besides that, a little further off, there is another one of these tunnels heading back, and I think you can see like lit the same way dimly, and also canted up, kind of like ascending further. And I think, at this back portion of the room, I think there's kind of like a raised portion at the back of the room that is like metal grating and a catwalk, right? Like a floor has been put in at the back. And near that medical unit, near this gun rack, near this elevator, there is also the dim screen of like a terminal, like a computer bank with like a control panel laid out in front of it. And how would you see this? Is there like there's probably some kind of signage, honestly, right? This is like, I think there is signage.
Yeah, I'm imagining we're like sweeping this room with like flashlights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your lights are cutting across, and I think like maybe like it's like passing over like near the elevator, right? Yeah, sure. Like near the elevator as you're coming into the room, there's like the layout. There's like a floor by floor kind of thing. Level 3 is the evacuation hangar. This formerly disused entrance is kind of like the evacuation hangar, the escape bay for this entire facility. You have kind of come in the reverse entrance. If this place is ever spotted, if it's ever discovered, and the team here assembled needs to escape, this is like the way that they do it. You've come in through the back door. And so, yeah, I think you have kind of come into this chamber, right? There's no one else down here right now. The lights are all off, or they are in this like extremely dimmed mode, right? So it's mostly like shadows jumping. And as you've settled in, you've kind of like figured out what this room is. The reason that I've ticked the alarm clock, another segment here, becomes apparent because all of a sudden there's a rush of sound, like big industrial mechanical sound, pneumatic sound. It is the sound of the freight elevator. It is descending. From floors above, an elevator is coming down.
Well, what do you know? More bad information from Troubadour. Desmond, I don't like the looks of this.
Yeah, me either. Everybody hide.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Are you guys just like hiding and waiting?
I mean,
to see
yeah, I think it's hiding.
I think that's a good idea. We got a uniform swap coming up.
Uniform swap, and the knowledge that if it comes to it, you put some lead into some people if we have to.
Yeah, where are you guys hiding? What does this look like? I'm not gonna make you roll to hide yet. But I just want to see.
Oh yeah, boy. There's like crates and stuff around.
Yeah,
right?
There are. Yeah.
I think there's probably like a kind of like longer, like your typical cargo crate with like a hinged top, somewhere like piled up next to the elevator. Rhodes is gonna jump in that, and I think is like peeking out between the lid and the box.
It's very Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a stack of crates with some like netting and stuff over it. Classic kind of camouflage for it.
Trash ghillie suit.
Yeah, that can hide in so that he can kind of see through it. Hide behind these boxes.
I think Desmond is just going to in the Mercuria going to sort of retreat into the gloom. I'm still fully camouflaged, and I'm going to just retreat into the gloom from where we came from.
Very sick. Yeah. Kind of like in that tunnel mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. And I imagine in this room, maybe Rhodes and Carta opposite sides flanking.
Yeah. I like that.
So we got that side of the room, all sides of across from the elevator kind of locked in.
And so, yeah, the elevator continues down. You guys are waiting for it to come down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like everybody's in position.
The elevator continues down. And after a few moments, you can see its bottom, like the bottom part of it, right? Because it's fairly exposed, right? It's not coming down like a fully concealed shaft, right? I feel like it's like a platform lowering. It doesn't have like walls or anything up around it or doors. Maybe there's just like a little gate that you pull closed. But it comes down, and as it kind of gets to like eye level, you can see that there is a single Luctorian man standing on it. He is in, I imagine, like black like fatigues with like an armored vest on that has the symbol of the marked band on its chest, right? It is like 3 linked chains with the middle link breaking. I imagine he has like a helmet on as well, right? Like a combat helmet. And he's holding I think some kind of like compact, square, bulky submachine gun that has like a flashlight attachment. And as the elevator comes to its like full descent and stops, a silence fills the room again. And I think this Lectorian kind of like tactically and quickly, very efficiently kind of starts like using the flashlight attached to this gun to sweep the room, checking corners, doing like a cursory glance, and then not seeing you right away, not having caught sight of any of your hiding places, right? Brings a finger up to the like mouthpiece of like the comms unit in his helmet, and it crackles to life. Yeah, Brute, I'm down here, not seeing anything in the room. I think the orichalcum in this place is maybe fussing with the electrical systems again. I'm going to run a check on the terminal, walk down to the door, see if I can see anything there, but looks like we're looking at another false alarm. And then, he steps into the room, is kind of like cautiously, quietly, kind of, again, scanning, like kind of moving the flashlight around, and making his way over to the terminal unit, the computer unit, that is like near this elevator. And I think, does another sweep of the room and then starts like striking something on the keys, and the screen kind of like comes to life, this like big CRT monitor. And I think he starts to begin scanning through. I think, you can suddenly get like the grainy black and white or like night vision footage of the drone that's outside, hovering over the area of the minefield where your first encounter was with the security system here.
So I guess like on the throat mics or something, be like, what's the play here? Should I take him down?
Let's just wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just wait a minute. Just give him a second. Make him think he might just take a look,
Give him a second. Make him think that there's nothing happening down here.
and then he'll be gone. And then nobody will come looking for him. And we can move. We can take our time.
I think he scratches his the side of his helmet, scratches his head for a second, punches a few a code command, and Desmond, all of you can hear it, but Desmond especially in the hallway, you can hear the door sliding shut again behind you.
Oh, we didn't close him when we went through. We left him open. Shoot.
Did you? I mean, I was assuming you did. You didn't say anything about it. I'm not trying
probably
to
the door's open.
And yeah, I think he comes down off the kind of platform at the back of the room and starts walking towards that tunnel where the Mercuria is at.
Oh man, I could just fucking light his shit up right now though. He has no idea. I have a 50 caliber machine gun.
And I think he's walking your direction, Des. Are you doing anything, or are you waiting it out?
Man, he's gonna walk right into me.
I think if you're not doing anything, there's a fortune roll here. And that fortune roll might go in your way, it might not, but I think that's how I'm going to know whether or not he is curious or sees something more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you don't have a move, I'm rolling those dice now.
God, yeah, roll it.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see. This is one of the only times I've ever gotten to roll the dice myself in this game.
I was gonna say, if you missed this guy with a 50 caliber machine gun and told me not to sneak up behind him, I would be so mad.
So I'm gonna roll the dice here and see if something happens. Right? This is like a fortune roll to see how our trooper, how Egg does. All right, I'm rolling 2d6 here because actually, you know what? Sorry, I'm wrong. He's Mark Band. He's not Grenfield. I'm rolling 1d6 here.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Are you kidding me, dude?
6.
Oh my god.
So yeah, this Lectorian, I think, comes to the mouth of the tunnel. And he's looking down. I think he's looking down the tunnel and actually has the submachine gun held kind of down pointed to the ground. Good trigger discipline. And I think what we see is that the beam of light from the flashlight on this gun is just on the edge of the leg of a Mercuria, and he's kind of peering down the tunnel without the light down there. And as he starts to move the light to face it down the tunnel, he could have just I think swung the light under the legs. There's a chance he would have never seen anything, but it's as he's starting to move it, he realizes there's a weird ripple to the quality of the light as he starts to pick the gun up and change it. And I think we get the camera from kind of behind him over the shoulder as he slowly guides the flashlight back to the base of the Mercuria's leg and kind of wavers it back and forth there. And, you can see there's a strangeness to the quality of the light, right? The Mercuria's rapidly shifting camo is having trouble at this dim quality, getting an accurate kind of reflection. And we see him start to kind of doing this back and forth as he starts to guide the light of the gun up the leg of the Mercuria, kind of almost tracing out its shape until he gets to the body of the Mercuria. And I think we cut to a shot of his face and just kind of like a puzzled expression, something very strange is going on here, but he hasn't grokked yet what the strange thing is. And yeah, so Des, I think you're there. You're the closest one to act. You see him start to do that. And once the light is kind of gotten to the body of the Mercuria, you can see a moment of clarity cross his face. The confusion gives away to oh, something is here. And you see him start to raise his hand again to the helmet, to the comms on his headset. Desmond, what are you doing?
I shoot him, or I could punch him, I guess, or kick him.
Well, you're in the mech, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So what do you
kick him with the mech?
You could just hit him with the mech, which would be rough.
Yeah. I'll just do that. I'm gonna fuck this whole fucking mission up anyway. Might as well just get weird with it at this point.
What are you trying to do? You're just
I'm going to kick him.
Just knock him across. Yeah.
Oh, kick him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be...
I think that is what it looks. This is a vehicle action. Probably battle makes the most sense to me. When you battle, you engage in vehicular close quarters combat.
Destroy.
Manipulate, maybe. When you manipulate, you definitely move things with your vehicle.
No, I don't know if that's it. Yeah, it's got to be battle, and I have 0 in that. So,
this is a risky, great effect, extreme effect. You are striking a human man with a war machine. Yeah, it is. I think the role here is less about like if you hit him, this is like almost certainly an instant defeat. I think the risk here is like doing it quickly enough and quietly, right? You're trying not to like draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
So battle, starting out, you have 0 dice in battle. I said risky, great. We said, do you want to expend a quirk here to push yourself?
Yeah.
Which quirk are you using? What does that look like?
Yeah, sonic nullifiers.
Oh, that's good. You're like literally canceling out the sound of the thing as you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll expend that quirk. That'll give you 1 dice to start. Again, assistances or collateral die are always on the table here as well.
What's the collateral?
What is the collateral die here? If you take the collateral die, I'm gonna say he's re-engaged the locking mechanism on the door before he's come over here. There'll have to be a roll to get through the door if you come back out this exit.
All right, I'll take it.
So that's put you at. Are you taking it? So that's 2 dice. Puts you at 2d6.
All right, I'll roll with that.
Hey!
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Oh my god. That's a 6.
It's a 6.
All right.
We're cooking, baby. That's gas. Like I said, a great effect. You swing out with the arm, and he is knocked. I think like across the room, right? Taken out, either dead or unconscious. Like dealer's choice here. Doesn't really matter. He's out for
dead. I'm very mad at him.
Yeah, right. Then you strike him, you throw him across the room, and it's like instantaneous. Not even a chance to touch the radio before you take him out.
Boom.
And so he's gone, but his equipment, on a 6, his equipment is still intact. You have not destroyed like the radio unit or anything that he was carrying. Those tools are still available to you if you need to use them. And like on a 6, he had just checked in on the radio a second ago. And so he didn't like get a chance to get in again. So I don't think there's like it's not one of those situations where like the call comes in on the other line right away. And there is just kind of like a still silence. But you guys are now inside Installation Indigo. You are on level 3. You are on the lowest level. You have taken out one of the guards, and you know that somewhere above you, Harlow Shellspade waits to be extracted. And also, that Butte Halloran is up and awake, right? That was who he was radioing on the comms. Butte's here. You thought he was going to be here, but for sure now. He's up here. He's waiting for you.
Yeah, he's waiting for me. He just doesn't know it yet.